Well, my guest on the show today is Colin Bloom. Now, Colin is the international CEO of Barnabas Aid International. I'll give you a little bit of an introduction of some of his experience over the years. He spent more than 30 years in the business, not-for-profit and political worlds. He's held a number of senior roles in British politics, including serving as the director of the Conservative Party, as a senior political advisor to the Prime Minister based in number 10 Downing Street. And he was also appointed by Prime Minister Boris Johnson as British government's faith engagement advisor, which resulted in the Bloom Review and looked at the government's engagement with faith, people of faith and places of worship. For this review, Colin received a CBE. So what inspired you to become involved with Barnabas Aid?
First and foremost, we're a ministry. You have to be a Bible-believing follower of Jesus to work for us. We hope that people who are supporting us are Bible-believing followers of Jesus, and we are there to help Bible-believing followers of Jesus. And we're very clear about that. So we're not the kind of organisation that will get government funding.
No.
And we would probably never ask for it.
No, so you won't use those avenues, those connections you've got.
Probably not.
It's not going to work. Now, you have just been to Nigeria, I understand. Tell me about what you saw there.
Well, Nigeria is it's a very large country. It should be the richest country on the planet. It certainly should be the richest country in Africa. It has everything. It's got gold, it's got silver, it's got zinc, it's got oil, it's got gas, it's got, other precious metals. It has tremendous agricultural lands, incredibly fertile country. And it has some pretty amazing and ingenious people who are there. But it has this other thing, which is fantastic corruption. I mean, just the most outrageous corruption that's going on. And it has, really tough challenges between Muslims and Christians, mainly Muslims attacking Christians.
Okay.
So the northern half of Nigeria is predominantly Muslim, but with some Christians living in it. And the southern part of Nigeria is majority Christian with some Muslims living in it. And there are Islamist extremists, Boko Haram being one, but other Fulani tribal Muslim extremists and terrorists who are trying to displace or kill all of the Christians in the north and push them south. So a few weeks ago, myself and one of our colleagues who's from that area flew into Abuja, which is the national capital. It's about halfway up the country, and then there's a 5-hour road journey up to a city called Jos, and Jos is really in the heart of the region where all of these attacks happened. Now, you're not going to read about this in the newspapers. This is not being covered because, the world is looking at what's, understandably, the world is looking at what's happening in the Middle East or in Ukraine or what's happening in Washington. There are plenty of other things that are attracting people's attention. But almost on a daily or weekly basis, there are Christians who are being murdered and raped and harassed and bullied so that they will their families will move and leave that part of the world. So Barnabas, we're really privileged that we're able to be there on the ground. We've got trusted project partners that we work with. We're rebuilding homes, we're rebuilding churches, rebuilding schools. One of the challenges that we had when we were there was just a recent attack. So we funded the burial, a mass grave for 32 Christians that had been brutally murdered. And so we were able to make sure that those families that were left, they were able to bury their dead. And we rebuilt the pastor's house, we rebuilt the church. In the process of doing that because they were burned down. But these things are happening on an almost daily basis in one way or another. And in fact, on the final day of the trip, our security team said that the village that we were going to go to, they had some intelligence to say that was about to be attacked. So we jumped in the car and drove 5 hours south just to get away from the trouble. And sadly, five Christians were killed in that village on the day that we should have been there. So it really brings it home to you just how dangerous it is for our brothers and sisters who are there. And unfortunately, the Nigerian government are less interested than they should be. We thank God that there are still some in the Nigerian army that care enough, and there are some generals who are playing their part. But it's a desperately sad place. So whether it's in northern Nigeria, whether it's in Pakistan, whether it's in DRC, whether it's in some parts of Asia, Christians are still the most persecuted minority and certainly the most persecuted faith of all of them. And every single day, Christians are being killed, they're being raped, they're being tortured because of their faith. And that's where Barnabas Aid hopefully will be able to go in and make a difference.
Yeah. Look, like you just mentioned, you don't hear that in the media. You don't hear that statistic. How can the international community better support persecuted Christians around the world, Colin?
Well, look, there are a number of ways they can support, but I would say most importantly, first of all, it's great to pray, and I think I want people to pray. One of my heartbeat is that I want Barnabas to be facilitators of intelligent prayer. So we produce every 2 months we produce a brilliant magazine. It's just called Barnabas Aid, and inside it is a prayer diary for the 2 months that gets very granular. It gives our readers and our supporters the opportunity to pray intelligently every day for the persecuted church around the world. So prayer and awareness is really, really important. And then the third area after prayer and awareness would be to support, just to support the ministry. And there are plenty of ways that you could support the ministry. But as I said earlier, we don't take any government funding. We are funded entirely by our brothers and sisters so that we are able to aggregate those funds and spend it. Give you an idea, last Friday, we had our projects committee meeting where we approved the projects that we're spending. We spent over $1 million last Friday, and that's because we've got thousands of Christians around the world who are trusting us with their resources. Mm-hmm. We're able to put that together. And that $1 million that we spent went on 28 different projects in 18 different countries supporting suffering Christians. And just one of those was 214 families who were in Pakistan who were they're enslaved in brick kilns. So those 214 families is close to 1,000 people that because Christians in places like New Zealand and the US and the UK trusted us with their resources, we were able to free nearly 1,000 Christians from slavery just last Friday. So it's stories like that which are just so hugely sad, but it's incredibly honouring and great privilege to be part of that story. And I think there are plenty of Christians in New Zealand who would want to be part of that story as well, because whether it's $10 a month or $30 a month or anything, even 10 cents, but being able to be part of that journey is a huge blessing to the suffering Christians around the world.
Colin Bloom, Barnabas Aid International, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.